Hey friends, please, how are you doing? This is OSP Pro. I just have some little message to let you know from my Microsoft Word. If you know you're happy, please make sure you hear this statement. Hope that's great. Hope you have heard from my Microsoft Word. In this minute around, members, I would like us actually to start up by making up now MySQL video. We're going to make sure that we discover all what's necessary for a complete MySQL. Now I'm going to start with what known as where maybe guys you may need to install or download the software needed for you guys to start up your programming with the MySQL database. Now after using MySQL database, we shall take ourselves into another new MySQL database. Into another type of database, which will be actually SQLite and Mongo databases later on. Now there's another stuff I have to let you know. For downloading, please I request you go to a channel known as MySQL. MySQL. You can go straight to mysql.org. This one will take you straight to where you'll be downloading up MySQL, or if not so, just type XAMPP. Now this one, XAMPP, just type XAMPP free download. Now this one here will enable you to download XAMPP. Remember, XAMPP is a server, so it will be having complete MySQL with it. So in this video I will be explaining all what's needed, so that by the period of approximately coming to 1 hour, we shall be when you're done with our MySQL programming video. Now if at all you're using Wampserver, still my friend, you'll do the same thing. You just need to install Wampserver, whereby the Wampserver still will be having one known as the XAMPP already installed inside it. It will be finding XAMPP inside it. Now I already have one installed with me, so if you know you have not installed, please I'll put the description below so that you guys can download and install your XAMPP or Wampserver. So for the purpose of mainly this video, I'm going to be using one known as XAMPP. So this is it. I'm going to be launching up my XAMPP. But again, members, if you know you have never subscribed to my channel before, I request you please make sure you subscribe to my channel, and then we shall see how we can always being together. So guys, I think you'll be also be happy, because very soon I'm going to be start using what known as Python, whereby you shall be finding out more new things to add into what we happen to study yet. Now this is XAMPP. The version of XAMPP I'm using is 3.22, so I don't know which version you may get, but make sure you download the new one. So make sure just start MySQL. That's where you're going to be at the moment, so make sure you start MySQL. So I'll click on MySQL. After getting that, I've said just download XAMPP and install it, so you'll be in position to run MySQL. After doing so, you can just go to shell. So I may just use the shell for now case, but I'll explain also whereby we shall be using phpmyadmin, so that you guys get the complete package. Then don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Now come back again here, go to shell, and after you starting up your MySQL, go to shell, and then you can always minimize this one here. Now inside here we shall be using some few stuffs to enable us design some MySQL database. First of all, we shall start with one as I type MySQL --help, whereby when you press enter, it will enable you to know all the help that MySQL always happen to provide for us in the database. You get? So we have all those stuffs. Like here, MySQL --bash. This one is used for actually using the bash if you want to execute bash. You get? There are all of those few stuffs. MySQL --table, you can try some of them. MySQL connect, something like that. So if you also type in MySQL here maybe table, you'll find out what the stuff will happen to tell you. I think now you can see when you happen to do so, MySQL table, I think you can see it has taken me straight to that platform, whereby as if I'm ready to use up MySQL and then to find out more stuffs. Now I'll not go fast over anything there. I'm not go fast in front. I'm going to first show another stuff. You can also hold the Ctrl or the C to try to clear up your MySQL, Control the C like that to enable you say bye, and you can type CLS to clear whatever is there, and that's it. So let us just not waste any time, so that we see ourselves, make sure we happen to add what known as in position to start programming MySQL. Now you can just type also what known as MySQL like that. If you press enter, it will take you to the platform whereby you should be in position to have MySQL platform where you shall be programming. But again, this type around, you cannot create any database whereby if you type say create a database, give assumption, if you say database OSP, if that's it. So if you can't create, they will say access denied. The reason is that you have not used you don't have all the privileges to create up the database. So guys, if you want to create one, don't use that kind of command. Otherwise, I request you please to do the following. Dash type MySQL, give a space, type H, give a space localhost, whereby H stands for localhost. Give a space U for U, which stands for root or username, and then give a space P for the password. So these are the first command you should always use whenever you are making up a MySQL database. Then you happen to press enter. And don't please give your password, because your MyXAMPP always come by default that in password. Then you can always click enter. So now here you'll be in position to create any database. Give assumption, if I happen to say now create a database called maybe let us just call database called maybe students. That's the database happen to create. So if I click enter, I think you can see the row is shown. And if I say maybe show databases, you should be in the position now to see the databases already present there. Now we have a database called student that we have just happened to create up here. To check anything, to delete that database from this list of databases, which we type one on us drop database, then you give the database name, which is called students, like that. So if you click enter, you should get a query clear like that. So if you happen to come back here and happen to type maybe show databases, you'll be in a position now to have that database called student anywhere within the database. So let us go back again and try to happen to create the database called students, and then we'll continue. So if you happen to type that maybe one known as create database called students, you'll discover that now the database called students is created. And if you happen to come back again and type show databases, which have been posted now, to see that we have a database called students. Again, to above that all, we have another stuff that I have to let you know. You can also use phpmyadmin to still do the same stuff around there. So to use phpmyadmin, just make sure you start up MySQL, start up your Apache, click here on Apache, and then you can just click straight into admin. So you can just click on the admin, so that you'll be in a position straight to go to phpmyadmin localhost, whereby you'll be in a position to create up a database. So that's the workbench. Then the dashboard, go back to phpmyadmin, whereby you shall be in position to create up a database. Now, to not make anything more hard, you have just created a database here called students, so you can always drop it off, and then if you happen to click that, you'll discover that database already deleted off, you no longer have it. And if you happen to cross check here, I'm just going to make my screen so that you guys can understand and see what I'm trying to do here. If you try to come back to the database, which students, remember I've just given here the command to delete the database, so that database no longer exists. So if you happen just refresh your app, you'll discover that we no longer have that database called students here in our stuff. To create a database, just go to new, and here you come back here and you give the database name. If you want to give the database called students, please you just give the database called students, and if you happen to click create, you'll discover that the database is already created and is now here. Remember that database at the point T was deleted here also. So if I happen to get that database again, I'll just be typing one on as show databases. So if I type show database, I think now again you can see the database is already created. So guys, that's how you happen to create a database in phpmyadmin. At the same time, also how to use command prompt. So you can also click here for the command prompt to always execute up your a command. If at all you don't want to use the one for the black CMD, if at all you don't want to use the other one of the Windows, you can use the one for phpmyadmin, you get, so that you can do all of your query, all the queries of yours. So members, that's it. Let me first go back in and I try to proceed with you. Now that's how we happen to create the database. Now the other few stuffs that I'll have to let you know about today in this complete video of our MySQL. I've happened to show you that how to deal about with that stuffs, and then maybe how to always go back with around in your database. Now straight I will start with the comments. What are comments? Now I'll discover that comments simply refers to those statements written by the programmer but they're not seen by the compiler. Now give assumption Python in what known as MySQL programming, we have mainly two types of comment. We have the hash, whereby say this is a comment. Get? So how does it comment behaves? So if this is a comment, we don't want this block of line to be executed in my program, I can comment it whereby whenever a thing I do in the program does not show an error, so that one is under comment. So you can always write in the program to indicate what you are trying maybe to do within the program of yours. That's one type of comment. There's also this one here where you use 2//, but in between you have a multiplication sign. So this is a multi-line comment. It can affect many lines. So in this one you can use as many lines as possible if you want to execute it. So you can always write like this. You give a /, you have your blah blah stuff of yours, you get, you have as many stuffs of yours there, as long as you get. You can even see their wrong statement. They're not MySQL, as you can see statements, but still discard that one. I happen to do my stuff and point to later on. As long as I put a multiplication sign with a /, it will understand that whatever it was here, it was a comment, so the compiler is not seeing them. You get? That's what I mean by a block of line. Then this one with a symbol hash, it is only to present one on as a single line comment. Now let us go into another stuff maybe that can explain to you. Now in MySQL, we shall not be using actually variables at the moment, because remember our information all are inside the database in a table, so we don't always happen to use one on us variables here at the moment. Now again, come back in here, my friend. Before I go any other further, there's other stuff called quit. If you want to quit up MySQL, you can always type quit, whereby when I click enter, I think you can see it is showing me by. That implies I've already stopped up MySQL, whereby I'm no longer in command prompt where I'm happy to make the program. So to go again, you just have to type that stuff, MySQL -space localhost space root space that password, and don't please enter any password there. Please don't enter any password there, because our MySQL does not understand password, because that by the default it comes up with that password unless you go in and try to set that. Now come back here inside again. Now just like that's what's on at the moment. If you try to cross check so far that section, I will simply say it's done. Now there's other thing that I would like to let you know at the moment. There's also entering queries that maybe you would like to know the version of your MySQL and all the stuffs like that. So you can always type on select everything, or select the version if at all you want to know the version of your MySQL that you are running. So if you press that, it will enable you know the version of the MySQL you're running. And you can also tell the MySQL that select from the current select current date. So this one will also enable you to know the current date of your MySQL. You get the current date, and you can also tell the MySQL that please select for me what known as the version. At the same time, maybe also select for me what known as the current date. You get? So that MySQL can always give you the two commands together. So if you happen to click enter, it will show you the version of the MySQL you're using and the current date of your program. So those are some few stuffs I may happen to list down for you guys. And also maybe another thing before I wind up is that MySQL is very key sensitive, but again MySQL is very friendly. I'll give assumption if you happen to write up MySQL in this format, that encapsulator that maybe select version, you'll discover that MySQL has no problem. Let's execute for your stuff as expected. You get select version. It will be also the same thing when someone happen to say that maybe MySQL select a version, but this one is in caps small letters like that. So discover that still our MySQL is key sensitive, but again it was made whereby it can bear with the small letters and upper cases at the same time, ever much you may mix around them in the same row of statements of yours. Now next thing that may happen now also to illustrate for at the moment is that MySQL you can also use MySQL for a calculation. Like give assumption MySQL, if you say maybe select pi, one thing, sorry for that, if I say maybe select, if I happen maybe to say select one known as pi, yes pi, if you do that like that, you'll discover that MySQL knows math calculation. So that implies in a simple term, when you simply say you want to do some little bit of math in MySQL programming, you can always hand up them in MySQL. Just like here what we happen to say, if you want to say pi in MySQL, MySQL will just understand and know that pi is same as 3.14. That implies if I want to calculate some little bit of kind of math, we can always get that. Calculate the area of a circle, you can always know and configure out some kind of information like that. Just give assumption if I happen to say maybe select, maybe I will simply say maybe select say, whereby maybe, and then maybe I happen to come and say I have pi of mine divided by 4 in my program. That's what I have. Maybe that's what we have. And then I also say that maybe plus some values, maybe plus or something like that. So the values, then 2 plus maybe or times give assumption or 2 divided by 3. You will discover that there's something that will happen up to MySQL is this, that it will know that the first information you happen to give, it will be in the first column, and the next information after the same column, it will be here. So MySQL can always be used for what known as a calculation. So I remember doing some MySQL programming videos some time back, but then at the moment I'm just summarizing all those videos because someone happened to ask me that please OSP, can you make for us the video, all the videos happen to make the 20 videos in one complete video. So today I said fine, let me make my time. I make for you one complete video for MySQL so that you guys get to know all of it. So I request you guys, please you make sure you subscribe to my channel so that you can support OSP by you subscribing to my channel. Now another thing that maybe I can also let you know at the moment, you can also select the current version right now. Give assumption we have been saying select what knows now. If you just say now, this is it. If you say select now, you will discover that this will enable us to pick the current date now, and maybe the time I happen to make up the video. So that implies just with the statement known as now, you can use to execute some commands maybe in your database if you want to use them in using MySQL. Members, that's what I will simply say at the moment, and as maybe I happen to go on to other stuffs. Maybe another thing that I can also let you know at the moment is that there's some keywords that you have to know. There's like white spacing. Now MySQL open to ignore white spacing. Like you can make a program like this, maybe say select what known as the users. I give assumption select user, and I give a space enter as many times. Now this statement here which you see, it is the one which is trying to tell the user that it's waiting for a MySQL command known as a semicolon. So MySQL gets to know that a statement is ended by until it sees a semicolon. And also if you get to give a white space, this spaces you are seeing empty space or blank space is what known as white space in MySQL. So MySQL has no problem when you give a white space. Then if later on you happen to give there maybe your select user, something like that, or whatever you'll be giving then your program, and although you happen to give as many, it will not give an error. It will until it happen to see what known as a semicolon, then MySQL will understand that the statement is complete. So if I happen now to press enter, I think now you can see it now, then that's when MySQL can actually now compute for me and say that the user is root at localhost, and that's it. Now, maybe there's another thing that maybe happen now to have to let you know. We have other stuffs that MySQL happen to know. If you give this single line and try to leave, MySQL will understand that now it's waiting for the next new line. And if you also happen now to put if you happen to put the / and then with the multiplication sign there, MySQL will also happen to know. Just try to do that very fast. If you also happen to put here the / and multiplication sign there, MySQL, and then you happen to get this kind of stuff like that, MySQL will also understand that now it's waiting for one known as multiplication sign to end with what known as the comment. So those two stuffs, I don't want you to forget them. We also have other few stuffs. Maybe before I happen to go back to MySQL programming, there are a few things that I want you guys to understand. At the moment you have already listed there's some few stuffs, but there are other many. So let me utilize this time around to go straight and we happen to create up a database. We happen to create a database called users. So if I happen now to say show databases, I think you can see the database called users that we happen to create, meaning student that we now happen to create. So let us just go to use the database. I think you can see from here that we don't have any database selected at the moment. That implies there's no database we're using. So to use the database, or to create a database different from using. So if you want to use a database, you have to type one as use, then give the database name, which is called students. Press enter. And as you press enter, the one which was here, MariaDB 0, mean none, which that implies there was no database selected. At the moment, if you try to cross check, we have now a database selected called students. And if you happen to type a statement known as maybe show tables, you'll discover that we don't have any tables inside this database. Instead, we shall get what known as an empty set. So my friends, if you try to cross check at the moment, that's what we have. We don't have a tables inside. So since this is student database, I'm just going to create 3 columns. One for student ID, another on student name, and another student course. Or I may use actually 4 columns: student name, student first name, second name, or last name, then course. So let me just start that, but by creating one as create table, and then maybe I give a table name called maybe a student underscore table, or I just call it TB. Whereby now you can always open from there, or you can even come down then you open. We have the first column for student ID. Now this is always one on as an integer. You can specify, you can say 11. That implies it's going to be in billions of number of people that can save in the database. And I'll also use not null. What that implies is a must, that field should always be having a value. And I'll also say auto increment. That implies in a simple term, and that element will be adding 1 to what already exists. Then you can put always the same column there. We already said that we shall be having the student ID and student first name. So I'm just call student F name to be first name, and this one is what known as always a variable character or version. You can specify to a number of values that would like your first name to have, but the maximum should be always 255. Due to the version of MySQL I'm using, but the rest version of MySQL is approximately this kind of size, is too big, approximately to 665 155,666 kind of 2, something like that, the biggest size of MySQL. Now I'm not after that at the moment. I've already explained that to you. Due to the version of MySQL I'm using, that's what I have. And then I'm also going to say not null. That implies I expect at the end of the day that part of the MySQL to at least have a value. Then I can also give one as the first, or the one known as the last name, or one known as LNM, the last name for our MySQL. I can also call one as a version, because at least I expect that one to be letters, and I'll also say not null because at least I expect someone to have what known as the last name. And I'll also specify by giving one as student course, or by giving up a student course by specifying it also there. So you can use the same size of the variable value, and also specify not null there. Now if you try to cross check, we already have all those stuffs. You open up here, but you have not closed. But again, I want to set up the primary key. Now your primary key can be anything within the database. Can be the course of student, can be student's first name, blah blah. But I would expect my primary key to be what known as an integer. And to do such kind of stuff, you just come and say primary key, then you say ID, then open up here. What's the ID? It's the student ID. That's the primary key. So that's where people always make up mistake. If at all you have happened to use here what known as ID, then please come here and put ID. If you use whatever you use here, please is what happen to give this side up in your program. And whenever you are in, you're giving up your primary key, please don't put there one known as a semicolon or a colon or semicolon or a comma. Please don't. Come down here, then happen to give what known as a semicolon, and when you happen to click enter, you will discover that your MySQL has executed a row and it's nothing. Now give attention, maybe you're dealing with an organization, a database, and maybe at the end of the day you'll discover that the database it was already designed, but again you don't know what to do and how to create up the same kind of database. Please, you can always go and try to look at the description of the database. So you can always type on as describe or disk, something like that, disk the database, the table name, which is actually called one as std underscore one as tb to be the database name, the table name. So whereby when you click enter, it will always describe for you the database of your the table name of your database. That implies you can just know the architecture or the logical structure or the skeleton or the schema of your database, and then you design the same kind of database, because you'll be knowing up what known as the structure of the database straightforward, and then you sit down and design the same kind of a database. So members, that's how nice my video is going to be, or that's how self-explanatory it is. If at all maybe this video is really helping you, please make sure you subscribe to my channel. Please don't forget to support OSP by you subscribing, sharing my channel to your friends, and letting them know OSP. Now another stuff, if you don't want to use that kind of statement, you can also just come right and write what known as a complete statement known as describe student table. Still members, to do the same statement. Now members, so far we have happened to create a table. To delete a table, please you use the same statement. Last time I happened to show you, you just type on as drop, then you give a table, drop table, and then you give a table name which is known as student underscore TB. This one, please, it will enable you to drop up a table. That implies when I say now that show tables, you will discover that now we don't have any table here there. Instead, we shall get empty set. So again, to create up a table, please members, you shall be using the statement known as create table. Student, that's it. I'm just going to be executing up these commands around so that you guys we can be on the same base. So I've already created the table again. So members, at the moment, maybe would you like now to know how can we insert some values into the database. Now to do such kind of stuffs like that, you just type on as insert into, then you give the table name which is called student underscore TB, open up there. Now what are the fields, or the column, not the field, sorry, the columns. Remember the field is a group of columns. If you try to check from here, it's a group of columns. And now at the moment we are talking about what the number of columns you're going to be having. Now if you try to cross check, we have student ID, but it's already taken care of because it's going to be auto increment. That implies at the moment I'm going to deal with the first name, last name, course. That's what we're going to give. So here I'll just be talking with the student underscore first name, comma. I'll also give student underscore name, and I'll also just come back here and I talk with student underscore course to be the course of a given student. Then you come down here again and try to talk about the values that you're happening to give your MySQL. What's that values that maybe you would like to give? Maybe first name we are going to just give it OSP, and the next name is going to be Pro, and then the course maybe it's going to be computer science. Maybe that's what you're giving. And make sure you always end up with the same column, because that same column is what will make MySQL know that a query is terminated, is ending there. So when you hit enter, should you get something like that, you can always hold up your back key up, and then you just come and change up this information you happen to enter in the database, and that's what you're going to edit. So I can just say Shiguri, that's the name of the person, and then maybe that's the pro is also doing computer science. So if you happen also hit enter to just work at the same. So let me just add some few data here, or some few data into this database. so that guys we can always, if that's a person, and then I can just always change this one here, if that's it. Maybe the person is doing IT, so you can always cross check that. Maybe you have another same kind of people in the database, but this person is doing computer engineering, and that's it. So let me just add the last person, so that guys we can see find ourselves doing another different thing. So let me just change this person is Davis, if that's it. So when I happen to click enter, that's it. So at the moment you have already happened now to insert some people into our database, and that's the query that we happen now to insert into our program. Now members, at the moment let us now learn how can we select information in the database. How can we retrieve data from the MySQL database? To do so, just type on and select everything from, give the table name which called student underscore TB to be our table name. At the end of the day we shall be getting the information in our database. So that's it so far. At the moment that's what we have so far. We already have the information selected in our database. Members, if at all maybe you have been using what known as MySQL Workbench, if you have been using phpmyadmin, if you also happen to come back here inside one known as student, which was the database name, if you happen to hit there and go to student table, which is the table name, we shall, trust me, at the end of the day we shall also get to know that these are the columns and the fields we happen to have. These are the data we happen to insert in the database by the time when we happen to enter the columns or the information that you are maybe just seeing around there, which is this one here, is the same information we also have here. So guys, if that's confused you, I hope you guys now today we are together. Now come back in here, back to our MySQL database. We have some few stuffs that we're going to add into there. One, I would like us to know how can we retrieve data basing on what known as a column. To retrieve a data basing on a column, you can type on as select, then you specify the column you would like to pick. Select maybe student, what known as maybe ID, then you give comma if that's what you want, and also would like to pick maybe first name, maybe from, then you then specify from student underscore TB. Now this in a simple term will enable you to pick the information in the database basing on what known as a column. This is same applies to if at all would like to pick an information in the database basing on what known as the student first name and also student last name in the database. So when you hit enter, you can always pick up those information in the database basing on the first name and the last name. Now let me also type back here all my stuffs together by typing what known as select everything from what known as student underscore TB, so that we can get our complete information. Now if you again try to cross check again here in our MySQL database, there's something that we would like us now to pick in our MySQL. One, we would like now at the moment how can we pick people in the database basing on what known as ascending and descending order. With ascending order we shall be using either if it is numbers right from 1 to the last, and if it is the letters we shall be picking an alphabet. So if you would like us to pick information, the ascending order still will be basing on the ID, it will be that, and to do so you just say maybe select everything from the student table, which is the table name, then you give order by maybe order by student underscore name or student name. If you say ascending, I mean student what known as F name, first name, ascending, that implies we shall be getting information in the database basing on what known as the student first name ascending. This statement applies also for someone who's going to be picking up a database information in the database basing on what known as descending. That implies if you try to cross check here and try to hit enter, we shall be getting information in the database and descending order, and that's it basing on one student first name. You can also even pick information in the database basing on what known as the student what known as course, student course. Depending on the format you would like. If it is ascending, you give ascending. If that's it, so you get the information here basing on ascending order, and that's it. Now members, at the moment let us also learn at the moment how to retrieve data in the database basing on a row. One, to base on the row, you can always type one as select one as information in the database. to pick on information in the database based on the row, let me just come back up to here and I try to show you what we can do. To do so, please, you base on ID, you can base on the student name, and you can also base on what known as the course. So let us start by basing on what known as the student first name or a student ID. To do that, just type on a select, select everything, or you can simply say maybe select everything from student underscore table where student underscore ID is equal to 1. That implies at the moment we are basing on student using a student ID. So when I hit enter, you will discover that it will only take for us the row 1 in the database. The same applies if we want to pick the third person in the database, then specify the ID. And that will be the only data person who would like to be picked in the database, and that's it. Now maybe another thing that I have to let you know at the moment, you can also use limit. If you would like to pick an pick person in the database, you can also use limit. Give assumption when you say maybe select everything from student underscore TB. Then you simply say what known as limit 1. So when you happen to say limit 1, don't say limit equals to 1, just say limit 1. This one in simple term will enable you to pick only one person in the database. If you want to pick 2 people, the first 2 people in the database, you just simply say to limit 2. And if you would like maybe to pick this only the second person in the database, then you will make it to be in this format, limit 1 0. Whereby this, I'll say limit 1. If you say limit 1 1, that implies we shall be picking the second person in the database. And in a simple term, if you'd like to pick the third person in the database, say limit 1, 2. Whereby at the end of the day, we shall pick the first person and the third person. That implies in the simple term, if you'd like to pick only the third person in the database, then we shall set limit 2, 2. Whereby we shall be picking the third person and the fourth person. So if you would like to pick on the third person in the database, then we shall say what known as limit 2 to 1. So that we can only get the third person in our MySQL database. Members, that's what I will simply say at the moment. So far we know how to use limit. Now let us also learn how to pick information in the database basing on the column name. Now to do such kind of stuff, you can also come back here and say maybe select everyone from maybe a student, maybe everyone from student underscore TB, maybe where maybe student underscore first name is maybe give assumption whereby student first name maybe, can I simply say, is maybe Davis. So if you would like to pick someone from the database whose first name is Davis, then the MySQL will always tally and try to pick that person whose first name is Davis. The same applies if you would also like to use the where the last name is F name, L name is maybe if last name is Michael, and hit enter, you will discover that all those people whereby their last name is Michael, it will give it to you. Then it is upon you if you want to deal with the last name or with maybe student course. After all, guys, you have happened to see and you know those kind of people with the first name or with the last name whereby they have Michael, you can always come back with a query and try to compete there. Then it's upon you can also go with one another the student course, and then if you hit enter, it will give you only the particular person you would like to know. Members, at the moment, if at all, please again you have not yet subscribed to my channel, I request you please make sure you subscribe to my video and make sure you subscribe and you comment. All those simple things that maybe you guys would like us to know in the MySQL database programming. So far, guys, we are done with them. Maybe another thing that I would like us to know at the moment here to show that we can always get to know what to do next is by way of coming up in what known as learning how to update our MySQL database. Since we know how to insert data, create data, delete data, that's what we're going next. So let us learn again how to, at the moment, how to update our MySQL database or table, which we shall be finding how to can you pick the information in the database. The first thing that I have within these 20 minutes so that you guys can end up the video is this. Let us try to see how can update this person. Is not always be pro, maybe Shiguri Pro is not Shiguri Pro, maybe this person is called Shiguri David. To do such kind of stuff, you can simply say maybe update. You'll simply say maybe update student underscore TB. Then you set update student underscore TB. Then you set maybe if it is, what are you setting? Are you setting the first name or the last name? Give assumption if you are setting the last name, you can simply say whereby f name update student table set first name is equal to the new name you would like to give it is David. Then we'll simply say maybe where student underscore ID is equal to maybe is equal to 2. Whereby when you happen to hit enter, you will discover that the information telling showing you no warning, but instead one matched and the one changed and 0 warning. That implies in a simple thing that in a simple way that if I happen to again type on as select everything from student underscore TB, we shall discover that that person who was Shiguri Pro is now Shiguri David. The same thing applies to the courses. If you'd like us to do the same thing, you can always simply say maybe select that stuff from the database, whereby select maybe student underscore course, and then you try to set the course depending on what you need. If the course is called maybe multimedia or whatever you're giving to your database, I'm just going to use for study purpose, and I'm just going to call it maybe software. Maybe software engineering. Then you specify where the ID, maybe where the student ID is equal to 1. Now this one you can use a string. How do you use a string in the numbers? By putting it inside single quote like that. So you can use a single quote, or you may just write it as 3 as long as it is numbers. But if it is letters, please make sure they are inside a string. So when you press enter, you'll discover that the row is affected. And again, if I happen to come back here to select everything from the database, you'll discover that person now of ID 3 is now that. Remember, so far that right now we know them. Now let us also learn one on us pattern matching. Or before pattern matching, let me finalize with this stuff, then guys you can go in there. The thing that I want to let you know at the moment again is that I would like us to know how can we delete data in the database. The simplest way and the advisable way I should maybe let you guys know how to delete data in the database. Just type on as delete from the student underscore TB, then where maybe student underscore ID maybe is equal to 1. So when I happen to hit enter, you'll discover that this person of ID number 1 is deleted. And if I happen to come back and try to say maybe select everything from what known as student underscore TB, you'll discover that person with ID 1 is no longer there. Members, the same applies if at all you're using up this stuff and I just happen to refresh here, you'll discover this person with ID 1, which was maybe OSP Pro, is no longer there. So you'll discover that the person is already deleted out in our database. Now members, again, you come back again here. Let me just try to check for you guys again the last person in the database, maybe with ID 4. If you happen to do that, please trust me. At the end of the day, if you say select everything from student underscore TB, you'll discover that person is already deleted. Another thing around that, you can also decide another way how to delete a person. Give assumption. If you simply say I would like to delete a person in the database, you can simply say delete from student database where maybe the student first name or last name, where student hello name is equal to, maybe you specify the name, where the student name is equal to David, you are using the student last name equals to David. Now if you don't delete like that, you'll discover that also is going to make the query to be correct. That implies if I also happen to come back in here and I just try to select everything from the database, we shall discover that the person with ID 2 is also deleted from the database, but we didn't use ID, instead we used the column name. So members, those are the two possible ways strictly I may try to let you know. If at all you like to delete information in the database, please make sure you either use the ID or the column name to pick information in the database and delete it off. Members, let me utilize this minute of time to just use these two queries and try to illustrate for you guys what known as pattern matching. Now MySQL provides a standard SQL pattern matching as well as what known as different way how can we pick an information in the database basing on how we happen to find them placed in. Now if we would like to find the names beginning with maybe a certain letter, we shall always use what known as %. So give assumption, if I would like to find a person whereby his maybe select everyone from maybe the student database where maybe first name begins with the letter O. To do such kind of stuff, you shall be typing on select everything from student underscore TB, maybe where first name begins, so begins you put equal, may begins with the O, so you'll type O, then you put %, and then end that. So when you happen to click enter, check again that, so there's something I've forgotten. So if you happen to do that, you would like to do something like that, we select everything from student TB where first name is like, yes, we have got using there like, where first name is like what known as O, that's it. So when I happen to hit enter and on column or where student, where student first name, I'm sorry for that members, where student underscore first name is like that. So if you try to cross check, since you have somebody in the database where his student, where the first name begins with O, then we shall get that. So if you want to know whereby when a student's first name ends with O, instead of having the % at the end, we shall bring it instead in front of the database. So when I try to click that, still will pick for us that. That is the same applies if I also would like to pick in the database where somebody's first name maybe begins with D. And if I happen to click enter here, we shall also discover that we shall have an empty set because we don't have anyone in the database where we said whereby the student first name, last name, begins with that. Remember, whereby the student's first name begins with the O, we have one, but we don't have one whereby the student last name ends with the D. So that's why you got empty set here. So if you try to bring the query again, whereby the student first last name begins with D, then we shall get that. So members, I think that's so great, and I believe that's great. Now you can also find whereby maybe student's first name, the name is ending with, we have already seen that. And let us also use like where they find the name is containing something. So if you like whereby the database whereby student is containing something, either is containing D, then we shall have the multiplication sign. It means the what known as the percentage in all both sides, and then our element will be in the middle. So when I happen to click enter, at least this name contains what known as D. And the same applies if I happen to change here and I just maybe happen to put A, you will discover that this Davis is the person still in the database whose name is only containing A. And if you try to look here on Michael, the first name does not contain that. So if I also happen to come back in here and maybe just try to change this statement, and I put the L, we shall discover that here we have A and here also have A. So at the end of the day, all the two programs shall be having that information. Members, that's how I will simply talk about mashing in the database. But still, there's another different ways how you can always do so. Give assumption still if you want to find the names beginning with B, but instead of using those stuffs, we shall be using that kind of parameters. So this is how they do it. Give assumption like to get a person in the database whose the name is having, whereby the student last name maybe is having some parameters, but then there we shall be using one on us what you can be seeing me happening to use within the program here. So here I'll just simply say I would like to find person in the database, but his name begins with O, actually beginning with maybe O. So I'll simply give it like that. So when I click enter, student last name begins with O, we don't have one. So if I happen just climb in here and I just change this to F and I hit enter, I think you can simply see it also works just the same as what we happen to find somewhere within the program. So members, that's what we have. Still the same applies to the other side around. That implies if we would like to get the same person having the information in the database, and maybe the name is containing what known as the name is whereby maybe to find the name ending with something, instead of using that we shall be using a $sign. So if the person's name is ending with something, we shall use the $sign instead of the other thing around, and I think at the end of the day the name is ending with that. Members, that so far is understand and it's nice. I believe you guys you are having something good. So still, if you would like to find someone in the database whose name is just containing O, then we shall not need any of those. Instead we shall use W. Actually, if you would like to find a person in the database whereby the name is just containing up something, then I would just like to use something like that. So if I happen to click enter, I think you can simply see that we happen to pick up someone in the database. But then don't wait about this information that we happen to use to pick everyone in the database basing on that. Members, I think that's so far great at the moment. Then let me just try to show you other ways how we can simply deal with stuffs in the database. Give assumption as I'm winding up, my friends, I would like us to know also how to capture the number of rows maybe we happen to find in the database. Since that's what we have, let us just simply say if at all I would like to capture the number of columns we have in the database, I will simply say maybe count. Select count, then you put one known as asterisk, which means all, and then we say maybe from what known as the student underscore TB to be the table name. So this one will simply tell that for sure we have only 2 columns in our actually 2 rows, not columns, counting the number of rows, 2 rows in the database. Just from this statement we happen to finding us that we happen to delete most of the stuffs in our database, and this is one called row and the second row. At the end of the day, when you happen to click there, that's it. We should always get up one on us only 2 people in the database. Get. Now you can also group this database basing on the owner or on the name of the table. So give assumption when you say maybe I would like us select maybe let us select the student underscore error name, and also maybe from student underscore TB, and then we group the stuff in the database. Let us just try to group by maybe student underscore error name. So this will find us that we just get this person because this person existed here and also existed there in the database. So at the end of the day, we shall find also the way what knows old man out within our information within our database. So members, within this period of time, I will simply say that my database so far is done, and that's it. Unless there's something that maybe you are interested to learn again, maybe later on, we can always pick up and we learn how to come up with other new stuffs within our programs. Maybe this period of time, let me just try to explain to you guys how can we create more database, and then we try to join them. So to make things very simple, since I've already shown you using MySQL XAMPP, let me show again here how can we create one database very fast and then we join them. So I'll go to students still, and I happen to come back here. I'll just create a database user tables called users, and I'll just come down here and I'll say okay, fine. I'll copy this very statement. I'll come back and I give the table name called tables called users, and I'll just specify this one to 2, and that's it. So when I hit enter, that's it. The first one, I'll just also give it one as student underscore ID. There also, I'm going to put your values that. I can also come back here and also give one as auto increment to our database, so that we can also have that. So here I may just give one as the student. I may just give one as max, and maybe one as there will happen to give one as max. I may just give you one as the class, something like that. So this is going to be virtual. I can also make this one virtual to save time, and I just give that also that, so that we can get everything like that. The database and table is already created, so you can also just click on it, which is this one here, and then you just go to one as insert. Let us just try to insert some values. We already have this one here, auto increment, but instead you can insert values if you want. I can just put max to be maybe 70, and then I put the class maybe is in primary, or in just say primary 5, and when I click what on us go, we should get some query within the database. And if I happen to click to browse, I should at least get some parameters there. So I can insert some more data as expected, or as more as needed. This person is just that, so this person is in primary 4, and if I happen to click go, we can always get that data there. We can also just go and insert more as we wish. So this person maybe have that, this in the primary P2. Let me just take that, that's enough for now. And now let us just try to come back again here and try to show these stuffs around here. So if I happen to say maybe show tables, you'll discover that we have more than 2 tables. So if you would like to join those tables, this is what we can always use. We can simply say maybe select, we can simply say maybe select everything from student underscore TB is equal to the other table, which you may give a name. So here we shall be saying select everything from, then come here and specify the table name. Select everything from, we have one as the student table, and also here the student table. Select everything from student table, whereby here we can also give one as the student ID is equal to, or you can simply say where student underscore ID is equal to student underscore ID, like that. So in trying to create this query, we'll just give you this statement. But if I happen to come back here and I try to join them, you'll discover that the first database we have a table in them, and those tables we have the letters that are beginning on there. We may try to simply say this is the table we have, and this is also the table we have. So if you try to play around with these stuffs, we can simply make sure we try to create this information basing on the first ID and then the second ID, whereby here we have the first ID start S, okay, it's S dot, and then this one here is for what known as a U dot. So when I hit enter, sorry, I think I made a mistake somewhere. So let me just leave that for now, because guys, I already made a video for two joining: inline join, left join, right join. So guys, if now you're interested for that, please make sure you check on that video of mine called one known as joining multiple tables together. So please don't forget to subscribe to my channel. This is the end of this video. I hope you guys are going to meet next time on the next video. Thank you guys for watching. Love you all.